Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality in a way that is extremely empowering. Speaking of exploring powerful perspectives, I'm super excited to announce the release of my very first book, The Golden Key: Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance. If you're ready to alchemize the circumstances in your life so that your abundance expands to an entirely new level in 2021, head over to goldenkey.gift to download the audio or ebook as my gift to you by using the code POSITIVEHEAD. All right, all you positive heads. On this week's Soul Share episode, I'm very excited to have Jonathan Goldman here with me on the show. Jonathan is an innovator in light medicine who has worked with energy medicine for 4 decades and has mapped the human energy vehicle in a revolutionary way, empowering people from all walks of life in their own personal evolution and healing journey. Hello, Jonathan. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Really nice to be with you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Looking forward to this one. This is the work you've been doing for quite some time is so fascinating to me. And of course, understanding that everything is vibrational, ultimately at its core. So I just look forward to seeing, diving in deep with you. But before we do, I'd love to get my cliche opening question out of the way. And that question is this. You're in an elevator. You have 10 floors to answer. The woman next to you looks over, says, "What's your passion?" What do you say?
My passion is helping people to realize that everything that they need for real is inside them, already built in, and that by activating it, all your inner dreams can come true. Indeed. That's my passion. And I want to show. I'm going to show this woman by the time that the elevator stops, I'm going to show her exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, I like that. That's confidence right there, because we're talking 10 floors, and who knows how fast this elevator's going.
Doesn't take long.
Fair enough. Well, let's dive in and assume the woman is in the audience somewhere, among others. If you would, maybe give us start with a little bit of backstory. I love to always get some context for how you got to where you are doing the unique work that you do.
Like everybody that does any kind of healing work, I needed a lot of healing. Yeah. I had my own story, my own childhood trauma stuff, and through that. Needing to find my own healing, I was led eventually to practice acupuncture. I was one of the first people to practice acupuncture in the United States outside of Asian communities. Started practicing acupuncture in 1976.
Wow.
In Boston. And that then, working in a 7-by-8 foot room by myself for years and years and years, I became a reasonably good acupuncturist. And then I got bored. About 1987, I started to get bored, and you can't do that kind of work being bored. So because now I understand that there are gentle guiding hands pushing us, nudging us in the directions that are best for us if we only pay attention, I ended up in the mountains of Brazil in a spiritual community about 4.5 hours from Rio. This was January 1988. Doing a particular kind of spiritual healing work that at that time was only being done in Brazil. The central practice of that community that still exists is the use of a tea from the Amazon forest called ayahuasca.
Ah, yeah.
In that context, it's called daime. But back then, just like the acupuncture thing, nobody knew what that was. Nobody knew what the word ayahuasca was. I had no idea. I went because the guy who took me, who had been my psychotherapist, who was a brilliant man, said, we're going to go to this community, and in a month, you're going to do the equivalent of 10 years of psychotherapy and 10 years of meditation in a month. And I thought, okay, that sounds like a good deal. But I had no idea what I was going to find, including what I found or was revealed in me was a spiritual healing channel, which means I have an inbuilt ability to stand inside me between spirit and matter and transmit from the world of spirit into the world of matter. Now, that all sounds woo-woo, but basically that means a connection with energies beyond the physical and connection with intelligences that live in those other realms who are looking to help here. So I discovered all of that. And from before that, I wouldn't even know the words for that. I discovered that I started receiving messages, and someone started grabbing my hand when I would work on a client and grab my hand and hold it over a person's body for 5 minutes and then drop it. And the other hand would then do the same thing. And the person would get up and go, oh my God, I felt so much heat running through me. That was amazing. So I thought, wow, okay, I'm not bored anymore. Let's see what's going to happen. So over the next 15 years, I realized after about 12 of those years, wow, I'm being given a whole methodology. I'm being given a view of human beings that nobody else has. And I started writing it down. I wrote it down, step by step, piece by piece by piece, until it became finally what I called the chakra map, which is the mapping of the qualities, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, that actually are pre-planted, implanted in the various places, discrete places within the aura, what I call the vehicle. And I started to, when I mapped that, I realized there was a way to heal those particular qualities. So for instance, the way I discovered it was one day I had my hand over the stomach of a woman who was lying on the table, about a foot and a half above her stomach. And I'm just holding my hand there like I had for many, many times before with many people. And all of a sudden the thought pops into my head, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know who I am anymore. And at that particular moment in my life, that wasn't my condition. I have had that at many times. And I thought, wait a minute, that's not my thought. And I said to the woman, let me tell you something. Let me just tell you what I heard. I said, I don't know who I am anymore. She breaks down crying. Oh my God, that's exactly what happens. I lost my job. My relationship fell apart, and I totally don't know who I am anymore. So I went and I wrote it down. Over the next 15 years, every chakra, every layer of every chakra revealed itself to have a certain quality, spiritual qualities, emotional qualities, mental qualities. And so then what I teach now is, first of all, how to see that and assess that in oneself. And then I teach healers how to assess it in other people and speed up the process of transformation and healing exponentially.
Wow. That's quite the journey. So where do we go from here? What is with the time that we have today? I have a feeling you and just from getting a glimpse into your mind and hearing you talk for a few minutes that we could probably do multiple episodes to distill and get a glimpse into all the knowledge that you have around this stuff. What is the most best use of our time today? Would it, to share with people in a way that's going to help them? I mean,
it's a really good question. I appreciate it very much. Here's what I would say. The most important aspect at this moment in history for humans is the chakra of the heart. right? We have all these other ones, and they all need help, right? As I say to people, look, there's 7 billion people on Earth. At least 6.99999 billion people need help.
Right.
So, but the most important place is the heart, because the heart, first of all, is the center. Literally, it's the center of the chakra system. Also, the heart has the its province, let's say. What it's in charge of is the whole system, both the higher levels, what we call the transpersonal, the beyond this life, who I am beyond this body, and this body and this life that I'm inhabiting. The heart, when it's activated, creates harmony. So it creates harmony in an individual person, but also it creates harmony in systems around us. It creates harmony in families, creates harmony in businesses. It creates harmony within the difficult conversations that are going on today, right? Because there's many examinations going on about race and gender and economics and health and all these very intense conversations that are going on. When those are held literally, not metaphorically, in the vibration of the heart, then solutions become possible.
Mm.
When they're not, when we continue to put our loyalty to the third chakra, which is the solar plexus chakra, inevitably what happens is the result of any project is conflict. And that's where we are today. What's my understanding, my view, right? In my book, Gift of the Body, the first thing I put in the book is a poem called "The Six Blind Men and the Elephant." It's a famous poem, and basically the point is it's a very cute poem. It's very funny, and basically it says nobody has the whole picture. So my little take on the elephant is all of this, as my grandmother would say, mishigas, all of this craziness that's going on in the world, all of this upheaval, is because humanity as a whole is being pulled to the heart. That's the next step in our evolution. You and I live in a country that is the quintessential expression of the third chakra that has ever been on Earth, although the Chinese are probably going to surpass us, right? The ability to manifest, the ability to make, the ability to do, the ability to conquer, the ability to adjust reality to what we want. All of that is from the third chakra. And we have coming to the end of that paradigm out of necessity, because what it's also done is created ecological difficulties and relational difficulties and political things and eternal war. So we are being pulled evolutionarily to the heart. And so what I'm teaching is, well, let's go there now.
Yeah.
Let's go there now. Let's you and me go there consciously. And then we are pioneers in holding the space while the rest of humanity is catching up. So that's the most important thing. And then the anatomy, the energetic anatomy of the heart, when we understand that, meaning what is in each layer of the chakra of the heart. So for instance, at the very, very center of the heart chakra, right in the center of everybody's chest, if there was a little button right in the middle of your chest, that literally is the place of humility. As I was being, white male middle-class American, literally brought to my knees in the mountains of Brazil, literally in the middle of the night with a full moon shining, on my knees, because I just couldn't hold my stuff together anymore. And I was facing so much intense direct knowledge of who I was on all these different levels, literally brought to my knees. I ended up in that space in the middle of my heart of humility, which is the basis of true spiritual evolution. Humility, very
Yeah.
difficult. The two most difficult things for humans to get are embody are humility and forgiveness, both of which are qualities of the heart.
Hmm.
So on top of that, in what's called the etheric body, which is rests right on top of the skin, the thin layer of energy, and almost anybody, you can feel it if you just relax and just hover your hand over your body, you'll feel it. The etheric body, what lives there is calmness, which is a quality of the heart, absolutely necessary if we're going to navigate the world, right? Calmness.
Yeah.
In front of that, the emotional body, which is like an inner tube surrounding the entire body at about 4 to 6 inches in front of your heart, surrounds your whole body, is the space, what's called the emotional body. And it is literally, not metaphorically, where compassion lives. Compassion. It's a really interesting thing. I would tell people to go on YouTube and look at the video. It's about a minute long, of the Dalai Lama getting the COVID vaccine. And whatever your point of view is about the vaccine, the Dalai Lama is an awesome guy, right? The Dalai Lama is the Dalai Lama. And he's saying things like, in his very charming way, he says, this is a beautiful thing and everybody should take care of each other and blah, blah, blah. And you watch his hands, where his hands are when he speaks. His hands literally are in a prayer position in the space of compassion in front of his heart. Because what is the Dalai Lama's job? The Dalai Lama's job is provoking compassion.
Yeah.
So that's literally, not metaphorically, compassion lives there. Then, in front of that, even a little further out, is the mental body, and what lives there is faith, but not faith religion. Faith as in, somehow we're going to get through this. This is just a moment, and here's another moment. Let's hang in. Let's keep going. Somebody knows what's going on. It certainly is not me, but I'm going to trust.
Yeah.
That space of faith. So that's in answer to your question. The long answer, excuse me. But that is the most important thing right now, is us learning, of making the commitment to say, okay, I'm going to live through my heart. My life changed utterly, completely, 100% when I said, teach me to live through my heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Forgiveness, you said, and humility. I love that because, it makes me think of, my brother wrote a song years ago, and the lyric in this, one of the songs was, humility is the key word when faced with these lessons. And it's always stuck with me because, humility is just, it's sort of like eases all the tension, right?
For sure.
When it's like, it's sort of synonymous with surrender in a certain way.
No, it can lead to surrender, because look, humility, this is what you're saying is super important, because when I look around today, I'm looking at the world, and I'm looking at myself, and I'm looking at the people I take care of, I'm looking at my family. Well, here's what I see. That we have along with we have this pandemic, we also have a pandemic of the terror of hanging out in the space of not knowing. People are pathologically desperate to know what's going on, which is the opposite of humility. Humility says, you know what, truthfully, I know a tiny bit. I don't really know much.
Yeah.
And to be comfortable with that, then you don't have to have so many ideas, and you don't have to have so many theories, and you don't have to have so much anxious thought that's flying around. No, this is what's true. No, this is what's true. This is what's true. The truth is, nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm very comfortable with that, because every day in my meditation, every day in my work, I breathe into my heart, and I sit and I rest in that space of humility, compassion, faith, and forgiveness. and I'm good. It doesn't mean I mean, maybe talk to my wife, I can still be a jerk. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not proposing that there's no more work to do, but
Sure.
when the basis is the heart, then everything is held in that space, that neutral space of compassion, and everything is possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I fully agree with that. And I guess the thing that comes to mind for me in this moment, for those out there listening who've really been, living in the head primarily, which I think our society has taught us,
Sure.
that's the place to be, right? And slowly but surely we're starting to realize, well, hold on, the heart sends twice as many signals, physically speaking, the heart sends twice as many signals to the brain as the brain does to the heart. And maybe this is the center of our, ground zero of our existence in the physical body and where we're meant to navigate from. And so I'm wondering what you would recommend. I mean, I think you've kind of given a little bit. You meditate each day and focus on moving into the heart and drumming up the vibration of compassion and everything. But is there any particular exercises or advice that you give to someone who's really in their head, who's hearing this and wants to be in their heart?
Well, first of all, I would say that welcome to the club.
Yeah.
All right. I'm very familiar with that pattern. I used to say to people, I'm a suspended floating head with a body dangling underneath it, and so I had to work hard. So here, I'm glad you asked, because look, here's what I've done. This is what I teach, right? And it's not just words, because for me, I had to learn how to do it. I want to learn how to do it, right?
Yeah.
So for instance, what sages for millenniums say, look, everything you need is inside you. I study, one of my teachers, one of people I love to study is Paramahansa Yogananda, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is inside you. The Eastern sage and the Western mystics also. Everything's inside you. God is inside you. Blah, blah. So my question was, where? Show me. Don't just give me ideas. So then what I've done is taken that, what has been done through me, let me say that, is we've taken that and created a program literally building inside the energy body, inside one's vehicle, as I call it, from the bottom up, starting with grounding on earth, opening up the chakras through breath, through meditation, through visualization, through physical exercise also, and building an inner structure where the center of which is the connection to the heart, and the result of which is having an inner structure from which to allow healing, transformation, and spiritual evolution. In other words, I become the co-pilot, the collaborator from inside myself. So I did last October, beginning November, I did a 10-session series going through step by step by step, like what we're talking about today, but much more filled in, and literally helping people build that inner structure. And always when you put something out into the world, the question is, well, is it going to work? And I can say that it does. The feedback that we've gotten is that people who have taken this course, because it's a course, it's a 10-session course, and do the work, right? It's not a panacea. It's not like, I grew up in Detroit and they used to say, vote for me and I'll set you free. This is not vote for me and I'll set you free. This is, here's how you do it. Take a few minutes every day, work it, and it works. So that is actually on our website, which is essentiallight.org. Essential Light, one word, 2 L's in the middle, lowercase, essentiallight.org. And that and other classes are available, buildings based on what I call the 3 groundings. The 3 groundings are the basis of this inner structure. The 3 groundings are grounded on earth, centered in the heart, and receiving light. And so also built into each human vehicle, each human construct, is a mechanism for connecting directly with universal life force light and channeling that into us for our own health, and then channeling it through us to help other people. And it's possible. Anybody can do it. You don't have to be born a yogi. You don't have to be, the Dalai Lama. It's built into every human system, and every human is given that ability through choice to activate these inbuilt qualities, the inbuilt mechanisms, and that's what I teach. And it works. I mean, and I'm a regular person who has just worked super hard, and the people who study with me, for the most part, are that also. And then there's some people who come who are extraordinary people, and people come with their traumas and their abuses and blah 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 for their own healing.
Sure,
but it's possible. That's what I would say. And actually, that's probably what I should have said to the woman in the elevator. Look, it's possible. I'm telling you, it's possible. Trust me.
Yeah.
That's what I would have said to her.
Excellent. Excellent. Before we continue on with today's episode, I'd like to take a moment to tell you a little bit about my very first book, The Golden Key: Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance. The concept for the book initially came to me in a dream and has been followed by a next level amount of synchronicity, confirming for me that the information in the book is pertinent to get to the world at this moment in our collective evolution. In the book, I share the 8 keys to manifesting abundance that I've personally discovered over 25 years of trial, error, and deep exploration, including one golden key that ultimately ties them all together. I think most of you will agree with me that talk is a bit cheap, especially these days, and results speak the loudest of all. Well, these keys have led me to manifesting incredible results, such as an Inc. fastest growing private company, uncanny health, incredible relationships, and success with this podcast. However, I'm not any more special than you, and anyone can apply this information to achieve incredible results in their own life. I also believe waking up our planet by sharing these keys to abundance is the quickest way to help us to transition our home into the planet of paradise it is destined to become, which is why I'd like to gift the book to you at goldenkey.gift when you use the golden key code POSITIVEHEAD. I would also like to invite you to create your own unique golden key code so you in turn can gift the book to others, as well as invite you to participate in a unique abundance manifestation game with me and the other readers that is outlined in detail at the end of the book and on the website, where readers are also going to share the inspiring results of their abundance manifestation experiments. Lastly, I'm going to practice what I preach by sharing 50% of the abundance generated from the golden game and sale of the other golden goodies on the website with you and all the other readers. So if you're ready to alchemize the circumstances in your life so that your abundance expands to an entirely new level, head over to goldenkey.gift to download the audio or ebook as my gift to you by using the code POSITIVEHEAD. Also, if you end up loving and appreciating your gifted copy of the book, please take a moment to go to Amazon and give it a review, which will greatly help me reach and unlock more hearts with the golden key. So you've written several books, quite a few books, all around the subject matter. And you have one that more recently you re-released, is that right?
Yeah, no, actually, so I have 2 books. I have this one, and then I have a collection of what we call transmissions. I'm in the process of writing the 3rd one right now. In fact, this summer, that's my project. So what's happened is this one is in the 3rd printing, and just now we're re-releasing it. I mean, it has been released, but in this recent program, we ran out. And so it's available on Amazon. It's called Gift to the Body. I'm happy to say that the feedback we've gotten has been almost universally excellent. Uh, Actually, one of the first people who read the book is the only person who didn't like it.
Oh yeah.
We have one bad one bad review.
That's how it
So,
always works. I think my first
yeah.
podcast review, it was the same way on Apple iTunes. It was like the scathing review, and I'm like, oh man, this is how this is gonna go, and then it all
I
picked up
know.
from there.
So yeah, so it's available, and uh, here's what I can say: there are many people saying very good things. There are some people saying crazy things too. Lots of people.
Sure.
What has been said is this is one of the times of prophecy. A time of prophecy is when there's upheaval in the consciousness of humanity, and there's lots of change going on, and so there's lots of input to try to help, and some of it helps, and a lot of it doesn't.
Yeah.
Some of it just stirs the pot without helping the thing to resolve. But there are people saying very, very good things and doing very good things. I have a particular angle. What I like to say is this enhances everything. It's not opposed to anything else. The healing work that I do, that I teach people, enhances other things. So, for instance, I have people come to me, people come to the people I train, who have been to all kinds of different healers, chiropractors and acupuncturists and MDs, and taking medicine, and it hasn't helped. Do this kind of work of freeing up these the vehicle patterns, right? The stuck places, getting life force flowing again, and they go back and do exactly the same thing that didn't work before, and this time it works. Because we're freeing up the emotional and mental and spiritual energies that hold the physical and emotional energies in place, right?
Yeah.
So stuckness, 90% of illness comes from stuckness. So let's just get everything moving. Let's take the beaver dams out.
Right.
Get the things flowing, and then let's see what happens. And most of the time, what happens is the vehicle has the ability to right itself, or mostly right itself. And then you got to add to it. You got to add some vitamins. You got to add some medicines. You got to add some massage. You got to add some other things. But let's go to the base. Let's go to the underneath patterns and release those, and then let's see what happens.
Yeah.
That's basically the work I do.
You use sound.
No, that's a different guy.
Oh, okay.
That's a different Jonathan Goldman. I think in my house we call him the other Jonathan Goldman, and probably in his house he calls me the other Jonathan Goldman.
That's great. That's great. Okay. Well, how funny, because it's like, similar tools and different approach, I suppose.
For sure.
So is yours? Are you familiar with chants by familiar with a guy named John Amaral?
No, Amaroff.
Amaral, Amaral.
No.
He's been on the show before. He's probably. He's a very interesting guy, friend of mine. He originally trained as a chiropractor, and then he started working with Tony Robbins as his personal energy healer, and is kind of just continued on his own journey. There's I forget who he studied under originally. He told me all about it, and he basically does energetic work on people, where it's just fascinating to see him in action, because he's sort of, people are laying on a table, he's moving his hands over them, working with the energy that you can't see. And in some cases, like he just did a session with my friend the other day, and she was just like blasted open, writhing, didn't remember parts of it, like expanding, connecting with cosmic consciousness. And so it's just, I'm just curious, because I haven't seen your work. If, when you work on someone, is it, how like it that actually looks? It is. Okay.
Yeah. Got like that. Yeah. You're working with, as you're calling the invisible energies the basis of that work, the work I do, I think what other people do is, um, they're only invisible to one layer of our eyes.
Yeah.
They're only visible to uh, one level of perception, and interacting with them, with those other levels, uh, we do it all the time, but we do it unconsciously, and we do it uh, without intention. And so to get to the point where, well, there's two things I would say. One is we get to the point where we're interacting with intention, but really, I'm sure that your friend would say the same thing. He's not doing the work. I'm not doing the work. We are just what I would call a medium, right? We are
Right.
a bridge, a bridge from a energy, spiritual vibration needs sometimes a physical bridge, a denser bridge to help a denser body.
Right.
Right. So your system and my system can meet in a space of the heart, and then those energies, those consciousnesses that want to help can come through our layers and interact with the person in need. And everybody has their own particular channel, because the guides, the beings who actually do the work, also are slightly different. There are tribes on the other side, so to speak, and the tribes have slightly different vibrational ways of working.
Interesting. So, when you're doing your thing, are you perceiving these beings in a very real, direct way? Can you speak to that?
Sure. Yeah. Look, it started this way when I described the thing, like when I described the thing of the woman where I had my hand over her stomach, and I heard this voice. At that point, I didn't really perceive anything. I called it the puppet stage. I really was like a puppet. Like I'd be standing there, and something would grab my hand and put it there, and it would stay for a couple minutes, and then it would flop down, and somebody would grab my other one, and I didn't really perceive anything. For me, the main way of perceiving still is through sensation and through vibration.
Yeah.
Behind that is seeing. In other words, and there are some people whose their main way is seeing, and then the feeling thing comes secondary. But for reasons that I came to understand, reason of karma, I needed to go about it that way. So I feel the presence of these different energetic vibrations, like standing on a mountaintop and the breeze changes. So there's a wind that comes from the right and it's cooler, and then there's a wind that comes from the left and it's a little warmer, and then there's a vibration that comes from the top and it moves a particular way, and there, like that. So it's like being in a constantly changing wind tunnel and learning to pay attention. And then I end up seeing the energy field, seeing where the places that need addressing, to see how the chakras are arranged and where the patterns are, it's like looking at it. It's like putting a puzzle together. Like, oh, I see. Like you look at a puzzle and you put it pieces together. You go, oh my God, it's a dog. Oh wait, that's a picture of a dog. So it's like that. It's like, oh, there's that pattern. There's that. Oh, I see. The center for this person is they learned to hold back a portion of their heart, because when they were a child, their heart was not welcomed. And so look right behind their heart chakra, about 1.5 feet behind, there's a place that looks like a knot, an energetic, or a ball of yarn twisted up. What's going to happen if we go to that place and radiate that with light within that person's intention to say, yes, I want my heart. I want all my heart. I want the energy of my heart. Yes, I put it away. I don't want it away. I want it present. Let's do that. Let's free that up, help them breathe it through. You see? And then I get to watch and feel the shifting in that chakra.
Yeah.
And then at some point it's done. Some point it's done. It's done. Just like, somebody turns off the volume.
Yeah. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So trauma, of course, being such a big, a big thing for everyone, I think, to varying degrees, has, I guess maybe even better than me stating it is asking you the question. Do you think everyone has some level of trauma, just varying degrees of it?
Depends on how you define trauma. In the biggest sense, I would say yes, in the sense that we all have come into this life with particular lessons to learn, and those lessons are learned by working through constrictions in our energy systems, right? And our life conspires to activate those patterns. Okay.
Right.
So if trauma, the energy of trauma is the energy of frozenness.
Right.
Right. The energy of trauma is the energy of frozenness. So it's a frozenness in the energy bodies. It's also a frozenness in time. In other words, what makes trauma is that I am constantly living in the moment when that frozenness happened. If it happened when I was 2 or 3 or 5 or 11 or 12.
Right.
I'm constantly recycling, reactivating that moment. That's what makes trauma, because trauma doesn't let me be present. So to that extent, I've never met anybody that didn't have some of that.
Yeah.
Some of it, and I don't want to denigrate people who have serious trauma, and there are people who have endured very, very, very difficult intrusions and abuses and tragedies and shocks. So there's also that level of trauma, which is more acute and more requires a whole different level of severe and a whole nother level of attention. But I'd say, as a general answer to your question, the way I would define trauma, I would say everybody has some, because everybody, until we learn how to navigate it, is reacting from something other than this moment.
Interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
So any particular techniques, healing techniques that people can do that, are aware that they have trauma? I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with stuff like EFT tapping. Anything in particular that you would recommend to someone who's looking to self-heal?
Okay, here's the first thing about healing. People who heal are people who follow their intuition. I've seen this over and over again. I'll tell you how I learned this the first time. And I'm going to answer your question, but I'll give you a sort of a dramatic answer. This was years ago when I had first moved to Oregon. I had my acupuncture practice. And I had a client, a man who came to me one day, and he said, I had a dream, and this dream tells me that I have a cancerous tumor in my stomach. And I said, tell me the dream. He tells me the dream. I didn't get it at all. And I'm pretty good with dreams. I was like, wow, I don't see that at all. He said, no, I'm telling you, I do. He said, goes to the doctor. He has a big tumor in his stomach.
He did. The dream.
He was right. And he comes back to me, and I said, okay, I tell you what, I'm going to take you to Brazil. We'll go to that mountain community where I was, and they do this special healing. I'll go with you. He said, nope, I'm going to get chemotherapy. I said, really? Because I had this prejudice. He said, yep, I know it. I just know that that's what I'm supposed to do. So he goes and gets chemotherapy, and literally the first chemotherapy treatment, while he was on the table, before he even got off the table, the tumor started shrinking. And when he got off the table, it had already been reduced by a third.
Wow.
And he was fine. And I thought, oh, I see. This is not about my ideas. This is about this man knew from his intuitive self what his path was. And then I've seen it over and over and over again, that the path of healing is people who follow their intuition. So this array of what you're talking about, right? There's the tapping, there's MDMR, there's somatic release, there's all these kinds of things. And then there's also a way of healing it in consciousness that I would add to that mix. And what people need to do, what I do, what I recommend to everybody is feel in, like it's a smorgasbord.
Mm-hmm.
You're standing in front of the table. What in that smorgasbord is going to nurture you? Somebody else is going to want the chicken sandwich. You want the omelet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why? Because your inner self is saying, no, that's the path. That's the path. Because the healing of trauma is not just the healing, like not just feeling better. The healing of anything is, what are you going to learn in the working out of that pattern? What are you going to learn by going through what you are going to go through in the unraveling of the trauma? Because my point of view is, we are on earth to learn. This is a school. This is a school of spiritual evolution for all of us. So the question is, okay, I'm going to take on my trauma. Why? I take it on because I'm miserable, or it's constricting me, or blah, 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 right? Because of the negative symptom. But taking it on and saying, okay, when people come to be healed with me, what I say to them before they get on the table, or because I also do work on by Zoom and on phone, I do distance healing as well. The most important point in the session is where I say to a person, what do you want? In a positive sense, not in a negative. Of course, what you want is to feel better. But what do you want? What's on the other side? What's blooming in you that is provoking this symptom? Let's see the symptom as a sign that something's trying to grow, to move, to evolve, and there's something in the way. So pray into the positive. So when I said, for me, my prayer became, I want to live through my heart. Everything in the way of that has to transform. I don't have to define it. I don't have to say in this and this and this, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. What I want. So what do you want on the other side of the transformation of this traumatic pattern? What has been blocked? What's trying to happen? Number one. Number two, here's what I tell people. These are I call it the don't F's, the letter F. Don't fight it. Don't follow it. Don't fix it. Don't figure it out. Don't flee from it. Don't fight it. Don't follow it. Don't fix it. Don't figure it out. Don't flee from it. Hold it in compassion. So let's activate the space of compassion in you, in that person. Let's breathe together in that space of compassion. The way I do it is I demonstrate it, right? I have to do it. I can't just tell people, I have to do it. Let's do that. And then here's what we're going to do. In consciousness, you're going to create in your vision, in that space in your heart that I referred to of faith, right? Faith. We're going to make an altar. You're going to put that trauma on that altar. Place it, just like if you were, and this is not a religious thing, but let's say you were in a church, or you were in a temple, or you were in the forest, in a sacred place, and you're going to say to what is beyond you, however you frame it, your higher self, the universe, the goddess, the infinite, light, God, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? My guide says, call it whatever you wish, but call it. That's what he says. Call it whatever you wish, but call it. So Whatever that is, you're placing that pattern, that trauma, all and everything connected to it, that ball of yarn. You're going to put that on that altar, and together we are going to literally, not metaphorically, call the vibration of universal light to radiate that. And then you're going to forget about it and go about your business. And then let's see what happens. And then do your other work. If you're going to do your somatic release and you're going to do the tapping and you're going to do all that. Do all that. But let's make the base of it that you're empowered. You are empowering yourself by taking this on and saying, yes, I'm going to do this. And I am not that trauma. That's the other thing. I'm not this trauma. I've carried it. And let's identify where it is. Is it behind you? Is it to the right? Is it to the left? Is it in your stomach? Is it behind your head? Where is it? Literally, where is it? And let's call light to that discrete place. You see what I mean? I'm giving you a whole rap on it. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, definitely does. I think that's a very, very helpful. I would feel to a lot of people. I'm sure there will be many who begin this journey of self-healing journey, and it's just some great tools to how to approach and the lens to really view it through and the context to put it in, right?
It's interesting. It's what I say. When people come to study me and say, look, let's just put on these goggles together.
Yeah, right.
Put on my goggles for a little while. Then you can take them off. You can put on some other goggles. But put on my goggles for a little while. And we look through those goggles. And then let's agree on what we see. Then let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the results will speak for themselves.
The results will speak for themselves. Yeah. If it, and look, not everybody is going to get help by every method. That's why there's so many.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And the guide is intuition. And the intuition is the voice of the heart. Grounded, clean intuition is the most accurate assessor of everything in your life because it takes into account what you know. It takes into account what you don't know. It takes into account the vibration around you. It takes into account the vibration of the universe. And then it comes out with, okay, here's what we're going to do. Oh, but then you got to be willing not to do anything because a lot of times my intuition will just say, shut up.
Yeah.
Not in this moment, but there are other moments when it would just say, you know what? Wait. I was in a huge dilemma 2 weeks ago and I was talking to my family about it. We had a moment breaking the conversation and I went inside and I prayed and I heard, wait and watch.
Yeah.
And within 2 days, the thing had resolved itself.
Yeah.
I just watched. I was like, wow.
Yeah. Get out of your own way.
Get out of your own way.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Get over your pretty self, we used to say.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, intuition is essentially the language of the heart.
Yes,
it is what you're saying. And wow,
it is the language of the heart. And it is the highest form of knowledge. Grounded in intuition, because you can also, your ego can fool you. There's all kinds of things that fool you. So that this, referring what I said earlier, really learning the art of grounding. I have a number of people who have studied with me, and they're reporting to me these days. They say, I teach all my clients the 3 groundings. And many people who thought they were grounded, when they actually get grounded, completely changes their experience of being in a body. Look,
can you share those? Do you have time to share those now, or?
Sure. The 3 groundings. So the first is, and very simple. The first is feel your feet. Just feel your feet. Feel the sensation of your feet on the floor where you are. If you can do this outside in nature, and you can literally just tune into the sensation of your feet, particularly the place that is right behind the ball of your foot, toward the back of your foot a little bit, that is in Chinese medicine is called kidney 1. And you press that down and just feel the sensation of that point, kidney 1. It's in the element of water in the Chinese medical understanding. And that point on your feet connects you with the vibration of underground water, the water that lives under the earth. Then you tune into to your first chakra. Your first chakra comes out of your perineum at the top of your legs, and it's a cone that comes between your legs, between your feet. It goes into the ground below your feet, and there are 2 more aspects to the chakra, one about 6 inches below your feet and one another foot below that. And you are making contact with the vibration of the earth. Now, depending on how grounded you are to start with, what I just said will make sense or no sense at all. You got to work it. And there's a way to do it. You relax your knees, bend and breathe, and just stay with that. Wiggle your toes. If you can go to the beach, put your feet in the sand. Go to the forest, stand or even go on your front lawn and just stand. If you can do it in the moonlight, all the better. If you can do it in a beautiful day, if you can then extend yourself to feel, right? We're, at least in North America, we're in springtime. Go and feel the springtime. Go stand with your feet grounded on earth next to a tree that's in bloom and just be there with that. Breathe, right? Then you have a center, you have a core, an energetic core that runs right in front of your spine, runs from the bottom of your body all the way through the top of your head. Literally, that is the center of your whole energetic system. So then there's a way to activate that. You put one hand on the bottom of your belly, one hand under your chest, under your collarbone, and breathe between your hands. Breathe from that earth that you're connecting to, straight up the center of your body and back down. And do that a lot. I mean, what I'm teaching right now is something that you have to do every day, a few times a day. It's, if you get it automatically, the person who can get it automatically, if I was doing this with a class of kindergartners, they'd get it right away, right? But us head people, we have to concentrate. So you're activating your center. Then cross your hands, put them gently in the center of your chest, on your heart chakra, and just touch very lightly that space, literally in the middle of your chest, and breathe. Pay attention to that breath. And imagine that there's a chair sitting in a room in the middle of your chest, looking outward. And you're going to sit in that chair, in that little room, in the center of your chest, and you're going to breathe.
Wow.
That's the main part. Then there's a third part, which is connecting with light. You and I and every human have a tube that comes from between our shoulder blades and the back of our head, goes straight up behind our head and goes to the edge of our aura. It's like a chimney. Like if your vehicle is a house, this is the chimney. And this is a harder one for people to get, but there's a way to clear that out, open it up, and then from that grounded place, centered in your heart, you say to, again, the universe, however you frame it, okay, give me some light. Send me light. Send me light now. And they will. You will feel it, and you'll feel it by a tingle. You'll feel it by the change in the vision. You'll feel it because you'll start shaking a little bit. And those are the 3 groundings. And that's what I teach people in a year program that we're going to start in a few months. Literally how to build that in your body and then make that your go-to in your life. Like activate it. And you activate it with a thought. You activate it with a breath. Like boom. 3 groundings, there I am. But you got to work it. It's a work. It's like any other work. It's like if you're going to play guitar, You know, you
Yep.
don't start playing Segovia the first day.
Right.
Well, maybe you do. I don't. You know, you got to be like
It's a second day. It's a second day for me, but
second day for you. Okay. For me, it'll take me 6 years.
And if you believe that, I got some swampland for you in Florida, I'd like to say. Let's see. This has been really, really great, Jonathan. I would like to, as we wind down here, switch gears a little bit. I'd love to hear stories, any good stories, a story especially of synchronicity, serendipity, a positive paranormal story. And I gotta think with, you know, the work that you do, you've got something fun to share. Yeah.
Oh, my Lord. Where to start? Okay. Here's, I'll tell you one. Okay. So I went to Brazil that first time. Then what happened was the guy who took me there, this was February 1988, in October of 1988, he discovered that he had pancreatic cancer and he was very close to death. So he went back to Brazil, to that same community that we went to, and he was cured of his cancer. It's a whole incredible story. He calls me the next July, 1989. He says to me, I'm going to the jungle and I'm going to present myself to the man who's the leader of the spiritual path, the middle of the Amazon jungle. Are you coming with me? I said, absolutely not. No way. I'm getting ready to move to Oregon. Ridiculous. I have no money. I'm not going. 6 weeks later, we're on a canoe and we're headed into the jungle. We get to the jungle, and that man he was going to present himself to, he was a saint. He was an incredibly illuminated person living literally in the middle of the Amazon jungle. It took us 2 days by canoe to even get to the village.
Wow.
We walk into his room where he was ill. And literally in the moment, this was the first night we were there, he was dying. He had a congestive heart failure. And so it's the middle of the Amazon. It's very hot. This is a man, he's almost 70 years old, and he's wearing just boxer shorts, and he's hanging by his arms from a crossbeam of the house because he couldn't breathe. And he's saying, this is Portuguese, the saint.
This is the saint.
The saint. Gotcha. Literally in this moment, he's leaving his body.
Wow. And
my friend Jose says to me, do something. And I said, like what? If he came to my office, I'd call 911. He said, he's dying. I said to him, yeah, but there's way better healers on earth than me. Why? And he looks at me, goes, are they here?
Good question.
So there was nothing in my training. There was nothing in my training that would have taught me what to do, like what formula to use.
Sure.
So if this was a moment, here's the serendipity. I'm brought to this place. This man is an incredible human being, an illuminated person in the middle of the jungle. And I'm faced with having to step into a completely other level of healership. In other words, what I had to do was I had the base of what I had learned doing acupuncture, and I had to let go, breathe in my heart, and say, okay, somebody better help me. And all of a sudden I knew what to do. And it was super intense what I had to do. Really? I had to take a needle, a long needle, like a 2-inch needle, and I had to stick it in this guy's perineum.
Oh man.
Right? Behind his testicles. A saint. I'm about to crawl on the ground.
Whoa. Hold on. This information came to you intuitively?
Intuitively.
Wow.
Intuitively. Like all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I have to do that point. So I said to my friend Jose, I said, here's what I have to do. And he says to me, are you sure? I said, no. Of course I'm not sure.
Oh, man.
But I get, and look, and also the serendipity is, I was raised Jewish, and the firstborn Jewish cousin in my family. So I have also what they call in Yiddish chutzpah. Chutzpah, like I was willing to say in that crisis, wow, what I'm about to do is ridiculous, and I don't even know it could get me killed. I don't know these people. They don't know me. I'm just a big white gringo.
Yeah.
But okay, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So I said to him, can you just clear the women out, because this could be embarrassing. And he says to the saint in Portuguese, because I didn't speak Portuguese at that time. He says, okay, the gringo is going to do this. And the saint said, basically, he said, whatever. In other words, he knew. And his spirit, I could see in this space, was leaving through his crown chakra.
Mm.
And so I crawled underneath him, and I wasn't a super praying person, but I can tell you I never had prayed like this in all my lives. I was like, please, please, please. I know I only get one shot at this. Make it accurate, because it's also technically a difficult thing to do.
Whew.
And so I did it. I put the needle in. He takes a huge breath. His spirit came back into his body, and he started breathing normally.
Whoa.
And so all these things had come together. My friend's illness, and then the decision to go to the jungle. And I was just going because my friend wanted to go. And all of a sudden, I'm the physician for this guy, taking a huge leap in my own healership and my own connection to spirit in order to help this man, which it ends up doing, which made my reputation also these 33 years later, when I'm a member of that spiritual path and actually a leader in it with my wife, right? I didn't know any of that. I didn't know any of these things. And it all came together in that one moment. So my contribution was, I said yes. I said, was like, okay. Wow, well, I could have run out and said, no, okay, I can't. Oh my God. No, I was like, okay.
Wow.
Here we are. Somebody knows what's going on. It's not me.
Yeah.
And so for the next 2 weeks, we would sit meditating all day in his room, in his house. And every hour or 2 hours, I would get a intuitive download, and I would go do an acupuncture point for him.
Wow.
Like 10 times a day. And then he left out a helicopter to go to Rio de Janeiro. I never saw him again. He lived another 5 months, and then died of that heart problem. And then 25 years later, the woman who had taken care of him in his last days, I met her, I knew her, and we were together in a ceremony. This was, 5 years ago. And she comes up to me, she says, I want to tell you something. And I said, what? And his name in Portuguese is Padrinho. Padrinho means Godfather. She said, I want to tell you what Padrinho said to me in his last days. And I said, what was that? And she said, he said he was so grateful to his acupuncturist who saved his life.
Wow.
Right? So then 25 years later, I get this huge affirmation.
Yeah.
That this saint had really received, not just received the healing, but had received me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my story. I hope that was.
That's a good story. Wow. Thank you for sharing.
I think that's a good story, no?
Yeah. Very, very cool. Well, this has been quite the journey, my friend. I know many of the listeners have enjoyed it as well, and would like to continue to follow you and connect with you and, all the things. So maybe you could share what the best way to do that is.
Yeah, let me say it again. Essentiallight.org. Essential Light, one word, Essential Light, lowercase, 2 L's in the middle. Essentiallight.org is the best way, because we have like 3-minute videos, and we have a whole library of what we call transmissions. We have this 10-week course. I'm doing courses now online. I told you before, I just did one on mediumship. I'm about to do a whole series on depression, anxiety, and trauma from this point of view, helping people to empower themselves. So there's all that kind of stuff. And then, check the book out. Gift of the Body on Amazon. And we would love to be of whatever use we can. That's the whole point, is being of use in this time.
Yeah. Well said. Well, I do have one final question for you. before we go, and it is this. In 60 seconds or less, what is the meaning of life, according to Jonathan Goldman?
Life is a school. Life is a school. And this plane that we live on, this particular schoolroom, has every level of creation exists simultaneously. And that is not true for all planets and all dimensions. So that the opportunity to learn on every level, and for everybody of every level of evolution to come together in one place, learning together, is the greatest mystery, the greatest adventure, the greatest weirdness, and the greatest gift in creation.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you so much for your gift and being here and sharing all this insight and wisdom and doing the work that you do. I appreciate you, and I know the audience does as well. All of you out there listening, thank you for tuning your beautiful brainwaves and incredible hearts into this episode. And yeah, until next time, journey well. Also, before we sign off, I wanted to remind you to download the Golden Key audio or ebook as my free gift to you at goldenkey.gift using the Golden Key code POSITIVEHEAD. And please, if you enjoy my gift, leave a positive review on Amazon so others can find the book and unlock their lives with the help of the Golden Key as well.